Hey everyone, welcome to this movie talk with Spartanburg County Public Library's Multimedia and Fiction Department. This year, amongst many other things, there were a lot of summer movies that were pushed back because of the COVID virus, and we don't know when they're going to come out. They might come out next year, they might come out later this year, who knows. So I thought I'd mention some movies that I think are really good watch-alikes for some of these movies that haven't come out yet, so that you can check them out. They're all available from our library, and hopefully have some good watches this summer and the rest of the year, even without the theatrical experience. So the biggest movie that was supposed to come out this year, or this summer, I think was definitely Tenet, the Christopher Nolan time travel movie. The first one I want to mention that's kind of similar to a Christopher Nolan film is Widows. Widows is directed by Steve McQueen, and it stars Viola Davis, Elizabeth Debicki, and Michelle Rodriguez as three women whose husbands recently died trying to pull off a heist. And they take it upon themselves to finish a heist that their husbands planned in order to pay off some of the mob bosses and individuals that their husbands owed money to. This movie has a really kind of gritty but stylish crime feel that's similar to Nolan's films like Inception and The Dark Knight, and it's shot beautifully and also has just amazing performances by the leads, but also has just a huge cast. Besides the three leads, you also have Cynthia Erivo, you have Daniel Kaluuya, you have Liam Neeson, Colin Firth. It's just like a powerhouse of really good actors, and the movie is worth watching just to see them all interact with each other and go through these stressful situations. It's not as action-y of a film as most of Nolan's films are, but it's still really tense and has some really good sequences and obviously, like I said, just a lot of really great performances. Another film to check out if you're looking forward to Tenet is Looper. Like Tenet, Looper is a time travel movie, or has something to do with time travel, but isn't exactly a time travel film. None of the characters use time travel per se, but it is about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's a hitman in the year 2040, and his job is to take out individuals that have been sent back in time by an even more future crime syndicate, and he basically takes them out and makes sure they disappear. He does this until one day his future self, played by Bruce Willis, shows up and escapes from being assassinated. And it's basically just Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis trying to figure out what they should do and running from the mob. And there's telekinesis. There's, like I said, some time travel, and there's also a lot of great action sequences. It's directed by Rian Johnson, who directed Knives Out last year, and is a really fun film, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a really good job of acting as a younger Bruce Willis. He wears like prosthetics and adopts his mannerisms and just does a really great performance. Mention quickly a movie by Spike Lee, BlacKkKlansman. This was nominated for several Academy Awards and stars David Washington, who will be starring, or John David Washington, who will be starring in Christopher Nolan's new movie, Tenet. So it's definitely a movie worth watching if you're interested in sort of his career trajectory, because this was the first film that he did and the first film that really put him on the map. So it's a great one to check out. And then two other films, if you're a Christopher Nolan fan, to check out would be these James Gray films. This one is called Ad Astra. It came out last year, starring Brad Pitt. And this one is The Lost City of Z, and it stars Robert Pattinson, who's going to be in Tenet, Charlie Hunnam, Tom Holland, who of course is Spider-Man. And James Gray basically, in these two films, tells the story of men making journey through treacherous terrain, in this case space, and in this case the jungle, and sort of mirrors their inner journey with literal journeys, and he does a really good job of presenting these sort of foreign, adventurous lands as both beautiful but also intimidating and dangerous. Both of these films are really good, and yeah, if you like Nolan, then I think James Gray is a director that you would really latch on to, especially Ad Astra. It has very interstellar feels to it. So another film that was supposed to come out this year was Wes Anderson's new film, The French Dispatch. He makes smaller films, but his films are still usually looked forward to. He directed The Fantastic Mr. Fox and The Grand Budapest Hotel and The Royal Tenenbaums. He's a great director. So his movie, The French Dispatch, was going to be a collection of short stories told by a French newspaper. And so to start us off with watch-alikes, I figure I'd use this film, The 400 Blows. This is a really important French film. It's directed by Francois Truffaut and was, in fact, his first directorial film. And his style and how he tells stories is hugely influential on directors today, but also Wes Anderson. And especially the fact that this film is all about a boy, Antoine, and just his sort of journey through the city of Paris and his interaction with his parents and his teachers who don't seem to understand him. It's a film that's both joyous and melancholy, and it's in French and it's in black and white, but it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you like Wes Anderson's movies and his movie like Moonrise Kingdom and how he tells the story of a child. This movie does a really good job of that as well. Paddington 1 and 2 are also great Wes Anderson lookalikes, watch-alikes. The director of these, Paul King, really kind of has the Anderson aesthetic in his films, and he really leans on that to craft really beautiful storytelling, storybook-like films. Of course, starring this bear who's just trying to help those around him, and usually has a villain after him. In Paddington 2, it's played by Hugh Grant, and Paddington 1, it's played by Nicole Kidman. But either one of these is great, and honestly, you don't have to watch them with kids. I mean, they're great kids' movies, but they have such a whimsy to them and such great performances, especially by Ben Whishaw, who does the voice of Paddington, that they're really worth watching, whether you have children or you're watching with children or not. They're just really cute films. And then I guess I'll move on to the next film. Two other films that were going to come out this summer that I know a lot of people were looking to were the new Fast and Furious movie F9 and the new Wonder Woman film, Wonder Woman 1984. So these films, I would say, are more just like general watch-alikes for both of those. The first is an adventure film titled The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. This is a great sort of family film that anyone, can watch. And I think, if you're looking forward to some like family, adventure films like Wonder Woman, this would be a good watch, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's directed and stars Ben Stiller. He's a photographer for Time magazine, and it's about him going out to find some lost pictures from this sort of traveling photographer played by Sean Penn. And he sort of always lives in his head. All of his adventures take place in his head. So the movie is about him going to real locations and to real places and having real life adventures, especially in a time when a lot of us are stuck at home. This is a really good escapist movie. He goes to Iceland, he goes to Asia, and it's got beautiful photography of all these locations. It's really funny and has a great performance by Kristen Wiig as the female lead. She's going to be playing an antagonist in Wonder Woman 1984, so there's like a little tie-in there for you. Another film, a great action film, but definitely not a kid's film, is Takashi Miike's 13 Assassins. If you were looking forward to like the team-based movie that Fast and Furious are, this is a version of that. This is a Japanese film, and it's really a retelling of Seven Samurai, which of course is the famous Japanese film of seven samurai who protect a village from marauders and bandits. And that's essentially what this is, except now there are 13 seven samurais. So it's 6 more better. No. Yeah, 6 more better. I did the math right. And It's got amazing action. If you're looking forward to an action-packed summer and it hasn't delivered, this could definitely fill in some of that. It's very bloody and very violent, but it's a really good story, and also like the last 30-40 minutes is just one long sword fight between these 13 samurais and all the people invading the village. So it's a really fun watch if you like those sort of John Wick movies or the Fast and Furious movies where it's just like this constant action. Going a little bit more old school, if you're looking forward to the car chases of the Fast and Furious movies, which they kind of moved away from, but if you're kind of remembering some of the early Fast and Furious movies and how they were focused on like car chases and action around car chases, The French Connection is really good. It stars Gene Hackman. It's a classic film and features a really great car chase about 3/4 of the way through, where he traces a tram or an elevated subway with a car underneath the subway, and it's a really thrilling action sequence. And the movie around it is actually really good too. It follows Gene Hackman trying to uncover a drug ring in New York City, and of course uncover the French Connection that will help him solve it. Gene Hackman, of course, one of the great actors, and his performance in here is great, as well as the performance by his partner, Roy Schneider from Jaws, is also really good. Very gritty film, really exemplifies the 70s aesthetics with some handheld, some, grainy imagery, the dirty New York City. If you like 70s films and you haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. Finally, this is just sort of a general, if you are really looking forward to all the blockbusters that come out in the summer, if you like the superhero movies, if you like the Fast and Furious movies, if you like those kind of movies, Elita Battle Angel is a great blockbuster film with absolutely stupendous special effects. It's got a good story, and I think a lot of people slept on this one or didn't get around to seeing it, but if you like any of those Fast and Furious movies, then you'll definitely like this one. The lead is really good. It's got Christopher Waltz in it, and he's great. And the special effects are probably some of the most interesting you'll ever see. It's directed by Robert Rodriguez, who, of course, did the Spy Kids movies, but has done lots of action films, but is produced by James Cameron, and you can definitely feel his fingerprints all over the world, the science fiction world of this. So those were just a couple of the movie suggestions I had for filling that space that would be the summer theatrical films. You can check all of these movies out at the library or put them on hold if they're not available. And some of them, like I know the 400 Blows is actually even available on our digital service Canopy, so definitely check that out. It's got tons of indie films, but even some bigger films too, documentaries. It's got a lot of great films, so check out Canopy to watch and stream some library movies from home. But thank you for joining us, and we hope that you come in the library and check out what we got.